Hi everyone, Stacy Whiter here on behalf of Campus Mortgage with a three-part video series which covers change circumstances. Now just a quick reminder before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal advice or used in place of CFPB guidelines. Also, this video was issued October 2nd, 2018, and the information contained in this video is subject to change without notice. So we're going to cover three important topics in this three-part video series. Obviously, we're going to talk about change circumstances, but to really understand change circumstances, you first have to understand TRID's definition of good faith, and you also have to understand fee tolerances. Then we'll talk about the actual definition of change circumstance, what is a valid change circumstance, and then from there, the redisclosure requirements. So let's first talk about good faith. Now, the question is, can a fee change or increase after the initial loan estimate has gone out? And the answer to that is yes, but only in certain circumstances. So that brings us to good faith. Well, the CFPB and the TRID says that generally a loan estimate is in good faith if the charges imposed on or paid by the consumer do not change or increase, I should say, after the loan estimate has gone out. And that's regardless of whether the creditor later discovers an error, a miscalculation, or underestimation of charge. So really what they're saying here is, in a perfect world, the lender should be able to estimate everything on the initial loan estimate, and there really shouldn't be any changes between the loan estimate and the closing disclosure. We know in the real world that very rarely happens, but that's kind of the spirit behind the initial good faith piece. Now, another important part of this is that obviously we know that fees can increase after the initial loan estimate goes out if it is based on a valid change circumstance. But one thing that can never cause a change, you can never change a loan estimate because the creditor made an error, or they miscalculated, or they underestimated the charge. That there's never any reason why that would be okay. So now let's talk about tolerances. So to first understand whether or not a fee can increase or change based on a valid change circumstance or other reasons is to understand what category, what tolerances those fees fall into. So there are three tolerance buckets or categories, if you will. So the first one is the no tolerance limitation category. So any fees that fall into this category can increase after the initial loan estimate goes out without limitation. The second category is zero tolerance limitation. So that means any fees that fall into this category cannot increase after the initial loan estimate without a valid change circumstance. And then the third category is the 10% tolerance limitation category. And what that means is any fees that fall within that category, the cumulative amount of those fees cannot increase by more than 10% without a valid change circumstance. So that's the first, is understanding the fee tolerances, and once you understand the tolerances, then that can help with the valid change circumstance. So make sure you check out part 2 and part 3, where we're going to go into a lot more detail on the fee tolerances and then get into the valid change circumstance. That concludes part 1 of this three-part video series. Thanks so much for watching. For more tips and videos, please visit campusmortgage.org to look for their weekly mortgage video tips designed for all mortgage professionals, including underwriters, loan officers, processors, closers, and post-closers. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.